Take us in the room a little bit, Brandon. Who's the funniest guy in the dressing room?
I'd probably go, I mean, I don't know everyone now, but
well, yeah.
I think Duncan Keith is up there for sure. I had the pleasure of sitting next to him for a few years, and he's definitely a funny guy to be around.
Do you concur with that?
Hands down. Like, the first time you meet him, you think he's the weirdest guy you've ever met. And then once you figure him out, he's nonstop comedy. So yeah, I would agree, Dunks is the funniest by far.
You touched on a little bit about Seabrook. I don't think people realize what a leader he is. Do you have a story? Well, the one that stands out would be when he goes in the penalty box in that Detroit series and kind of talks Johnny off the ledge a little bit. Taves was pretty frustrated. But tell us a little bit of what Seabrook does behind the scenes in a leadership role.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of the person that he is and the way he operates. He's always he's like a big father. You know, he's always looking out for people, making sure everyone's taken care of. I talked to him all through the summer and the last couple seasons, and then he calls me on July 1st after I signed back with the Hawks, and it was like he was talking to someone he didn't even know. He's like, "Yeah, so Lakeview's got some good schools, and if you want me to make a phone call for you," I'm like, "Siebes, I lived in Chicago for 10 years, you know, like that's just the kind of guy he is. He just wants to make sure everyone's taken care of, and all the young guys got a place to eat on the road. It's like
gets cold in the winters,
yeah,
you know. Make sure you bring a jacket with
right.
you.
You know, he's just big Siebes. So I don't know. He's got a lot of superstitions. He's a pro. He's the same player every game. You know, does the same things out there. He's solid, reliable. But like, I don't know. He's just a born leader. You know.
What you had a lot of conversations with a good friend of yours, Brian Campbell, regarding coming back. What were some of those conversations like as far as what it's like to return to the Hawks?
I just always felt that I'd probably go down that road, hopefully, with the same road that Soup went down, and he happened to do it a year before I did. And I just wanted to kind of pick his brain on how he felt about his decision. You know, he spent a long time in Florida as well, so he had some good friendships there, and the team was getting better, and I think he had some opportunity to stay there. He decided to come back home to Chicago, and all along, Soup was confident in his decision. I texted him after the team was losing games. I texted him when he missed a couple games. I texted him when he was playing bad, and he was always like, "Yeah, man, it's a no-brainer. It's 100% he made the right decision." So that's just, I already knew I wanted to come back, but hearing another former player go through it just confirmed that it was the right thing to do.
The morning of the trade, Brandon, nobody knew it was going to go down, including you. You heard no rumors or anything about this, did you?
No, it was pretty shocking. Nothing really. Get a phone call.
Did you think like someone was joking? I mean, were you like, really?
It was pretty crazy, you know, to get a phone call. I don't know. It was a Friday, hanging out with my brother. I don't know even what we were doing, joking around, having fun. You get a phone call and, well, get your suitcase ready, I guess. You're on to the next. So, but I couldn't be more thrilled, obviously, that I was coming back to Chicago.
All right. Of your nicknames, Sodder, Sodfather, Manchild, Mini Hosa, what's your favorite?
I don't know. It's whatever works. You know, I just think it's fun when guys come up with stuff, or fans. It's fun. It's the camaraderie of the group, and I know Sharpie has a lot to do with some of them. I don't know if he was making fun of me when I was younger or not, but I liked it regardless. I felt cool being with the old guys, or whatever you want to call it. They're all good. I mean, whatever you guys want to call me, I'm just happy to be here, really.
Which one of his nicknames do you like the most, Sharpie?
I don't know, Manchild was probably a good one, but there's no way he's only 24 years old.
I know.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, he might be older than I am. I don't know, Sodfather's pretty funny. I don't know who came up with that one. It's usually Dunks who comes up with these weird names, but I don't know. Nicknames stick for weird reasons, who knows?
Brandon, the travel in the East is known to be significantly less than what you have to go through in the Western Conference. Did you Did you notice that quite a bit in the 2 years?
Yeah. I think, I mean, you still travel a lot, but it's different where you're back and forth to different cities and one-day trips, two-day trips. It's shorter like that. But for the West, you go on longer trips. It's kind of nice, too, because you get to hang out with the guys. You're on the road for a week or two, and you're in one place, and then you get to come home and play home games for a week or two. So it's a different setup. Travel's always tough, I guess. It's a different form of travel and different setup, but at the end of the day, being a professional, it's something you adapt to, and everyone's going through it, so there's really no excuses there.
It seems like the balance of power has a little of it shifted to the East in the last year or so, but boy, you look at the Central, I mean, you experienced it in Dallas. I mean, there's no easy night in this division. And then you look at the West with McDavid's and other, it's a real young, fast league. It's going to be a tough test for this team.
Okay, I know I'm 35, relax.
So are you ready for that challenge?
No, I mean, if you look at our division, who knows what the best division in hockey is. It doesn't really matter what the numbers say, but just look at the Dallas Stars are going to be a lot better this year. Minnesota, St. Louis is always tough. Winnipeg has beat us in Dallas quite a bit. I know that gave the Hawks trouble. They're going to be better. Nashville went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. Like, it's a tough division. It keeps getting better and better. So the amount of years that the Hawks have made the playoffs and been in a position to win a Stanley Cup, that's something you can't take for granted. So it's pretty challenging being in that division, but I think any team that you play against, whether it's East or West, is good nowadays, and they're all young, speedy kids flying around the ice.
Guess what we found? The Brandon Saad video. I mean, Blackhawks TV does an amazing job. We should check out their work.
Well, let's wait till we play it, make sure it's the right one this time.
That's right. We're going to try take 4 on this one, and if we swing and miss, then we're going to call it a day. But let's take a look at number 20 in action again. Look at the mullet. That was worth the wait. All right, let's ask. We got some questions here from you guys in the audience. Bailey Coleman from Lake Zurich, in parentheses, biggest Brandon Saad fan of all time. Bailey wants to know, who's scarier during a game, Coach Q or John Tortorella? Good question.
That's a tough question. I mean, they're both tough in different ways. I think Q might have been scarier just because I was younger. So coming in, it was a little bit different than when you have a few years experience and you kind of know how to deal with things a certain way. But I think probably Q when I was younger, just because it was all new to me.
Sharpie, when you look at Q, and fans come up to you, I'm sure, all the time and ask you what he's like. What do you think has made him such a successful coach, the second winningest coach all time in NHL history, and he's been able, part of the job is handling egos. He's able to do it all. Well, how do you describe it to people when they ask you about Joel?
A couple things come to mind. First, I don't think there's a better coach in the league at managing a season. You know what I mean? If 82 games, kind of like a baseball team, You're at the rink every day. He knows when to give guys certain days off. He knows when to push buttons. Just managing a season, there's no one better at it. And then what makes him so good, I think, is like his intensity. You know, you see him behind the bench. You see how fired up he gets every game. That kind of filters down the bench and onto the ice, and we feel that as well. So it doesn't matter if it's game 1 or 82. He's always fired up, ready to go, and it just kind of inspires the team.
Let's go back to the questions here. This one's from Chloe from Lamont, Scott Darling's hometown. Chloe wants to know, now that you're back, meaning you, Sharpie, are you going to get back to playing pranks again? And if so, who's going to be your partner in crime?
I haven't done a whole lot of pranks in the last couple of years. That's probably why I wasn't playing very good. But Kane is always the #1 target. Because I still haven't seemed to like get him upset yet. I've moved on from Taves because I just got to look at him the wrong way and he gets all pissed off. So, and as far as a partner, I'm flying solo, man. I don't need a partner.
All right. Brandon, has Patrick ever played a prank on you that you recall?
Not that I can remember.
Next on the list, Sharpie.
Too scared, Brandon. Too scared.
Let's go to Katie. Katie Hansen from St. Charles wants to know, to both of you, where's the first place in Chicago you had to go when you came back home, AKA the greatest city in the world? Is there a place that you went to first when you got back to town? Besides the airport?
No, yeah, that's I came in and I was kind of bouncing around looking at different places, things like that. So it's kind of been a little bit hectic. I didn't have a place to come back to, so I haven't enjoyed too much. And then we have this, so this has been the place that's been the most fun right now. But yeah, once I have some downtime, I don't know, I'll find there's plenty of good restaurants and things to do, so I'm sure I'll get to relax a little bit and enjoy the city a little bit more.
Sure, you'll be heading to a Cubs game soon, Sharpie.
Yeah, I was going to say both Cubs and White Sox. I like going to the baseball games.
Well, they play each other next week. There you go.
If I'm here, I'm there for sure, but I might be back in Connecticut. But I love going to the baseball games. I live a few blocks from Wrigley Field, so it was always fun to kind of walk over and see the Cubs play. I said earlier today, like it figures I was here for 10 years and the Cubs were awful. And then I go down to Texas and the Cubs win the World Series. I got to miss out on all that stuff. But yeah, I like both teams in Chicago. I like the Sox and the Cubs, but I just like baseball in general, I guess.
I think I heard that your dad would watch a lot of Blackhawks games even when you were in Dallas. Is that true?
Yeah, my dad and Abby's family are big Blackhawks fans. They would still watch the games when I was on the Stars. And
you're like, hey, I'm not wearing that jersey anymore.
I watch the games too, so who am I?
What was the most often asked question from your Columbus teammates, Brandon, when they asked you about what it was like playing with this group in Chicago?
I just think talking about the experience, really. Not one thing you could put your finger on, but how is it like to win, obviously? How are certain players? How do they run things here? As players in the league, you like to get familiar with other places around the league because unfortunately it's a business and you never know where you're going to end up. But I know a lot of players that hear about it here want to come here. So, but yeah, there's not much you can say bad about Chicago. I bragged the whole time about how cool it was to be in Chicago, how awesome Sharpie is and everything. So.
Here's a question from Benjamin to both of you. What or who inspired you to play?
For me, it was probably my older brother, Chris. He's 2 years older than I am, and I just did everything that he did, whether it was hockey or baseball, school. He just tried to like one-up him and everything. He would set the bar, and I would try to get as high as him. And pretty lucky to have a brother that close in age to me, and just kind of being the younger brother, he took a brunt of a lot of the nonsense coming our way, whether it was from teachers or parents or whatever. I was the younger kid that got to skate on by, so my brother probably inspired me.
What about you, Brandon?
Yeah, that's along the same lines. I have a brother a couple years older, and I had cousins that played that we both went to the rink at the same time, but it was kind of a bonding experience too, that we fell in the love of the game together and played on the cul-de-sac and competed like that. So he was always someone that pushed me to get better, and yeah, he was a big part of my life for sure.
Take us through now the preparation for training camp, Patrick. You'll head back to Connecticut. They had that fitness test before you guys shove off to South Bend. And if I recall, if it was either the last season you were here or the season prior, you won that thing. So is that, you got your sights set on that? Show these young guys.
You got to win it again this year. I've had a long summer. I got this hip surgery on end of March 26th or 8th or something like that. So that's about a 4-month recovery. 4 months was on Tuesday of last week. So I'm in the clear. Saw Dr. Terry. I'm ready to rock and ready to go.
And Brandon, now that you're 24, has your off-season training changed at all? Are you still eating anything you want? Do you have to scale things back a little bit at all?
I think it's a little bit of the same. You know, coming in, like Sharpie said, guys here do it a certain way, and you follow the leader kind of with the healthy eating and the training and things like that. So I've had some longer summers these past few years, so I guess the intensity ramps up in the training, and you get stronger that way. But for the most part, it's along the same lines. And I take it easy in the summer to let Sharpie win the fitness test, make him feel good about himself.
Make him feel good.
That's about it.
I think one of the coolest things, Patrick, about returning this time is that your daughters are a couple years older and are at an age where, you know, they can kind of figure things out a little bit more about what you do. That's going to be, I think, an awesome experience for the Sharp family.
Yeah, they enjoy coming to warm-ups. They don't like staying for the whole game, but they like the Dallas Stars Ice Girls, because most of them are off the ice in Dallas. They have like a section in the building, so my 2 girls would dance in the stands and mimic the Ice Girls the whole time they were up there. But they'll be at the United Center every night. You'll probably see them in the glass during warm-ups, and then they'll be terrorizing all the security guards down underneath by the wives' room.
All right, inquiring minds want to know, Brandon, is there a girlfriend in the picture?
Yeah, I actually, sorry ladies, but I got engaged last year, so. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, now we got a topic to dive into. How did you propose?
That's personal.
Yeah, that's a secret. I can't give away those secrets. But no, I think it might have been over one of our all-star breaks or bye weeks or something. We were in Turks and Caicos actually, so I did it there. And not much to it, I guess. What are you gonna do?
That's great. And what is her name?
That's Alyssa.
Alyssa. Yep. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Have you set the date?
No, nothing set yet. Probably next summer. So.
Can we make it late
yeah.
June? How about July? Let's start July. We got
exactly.
a parade and other things to do.
Hopefully after Cup celebrations, and so yeah, hopefully later.
You got any advice for Brandon here as he gets ready? This is a big year for him.
Stay off Twitter.
Yeah. Words to live by, for sure. Anybody else? I'm not gonna run through the crowd. Does anybody want to shout out maybe one question? There, you got a young man. If you could pick any position. Okay, if you could play another position.
I'd want to be a goalie.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a road hockey professional goaltender. I'm as good as it comes when you play road hockey. But you put skates on me and I'd blow a knee out or pull a groin or something like that. So, I mean, I don't know. It'd be nice to put all that equipment on and make some saves.
Brandon, how about you? What position would you like to play?
I don't know. I mean, goalie as well, just because when I was younger, with the older brother and his crew, they always put me in the net on the street because no one else wanted to do it. So I had to suit up for it. But I think that'd be a fun position to try out too.
Well, you never know what happens, because last year in Philadelphia, if you recall, it was an emergency appendectomy for Corey, and Darling was injured, and so they had to, no, Darling played, and then they got their backup was like the guy from a club hockey team. So you guys might, get your shot.
Yeah.
You never know. What are you looking forward to most about this season with this team? Is there something that, ultimately you know what the goal is, but is there something you're looking forward to most?
Just getting back and playing hockey. It's been a bad year last year for the Stars. We got off to a tough start. A lot of injuries, had high expectations from the previous year where we won the Western Conference. Bad year individually, a lot of injuries. Feeling good now. It's just going to be exciting to put the Hawks jersey on, get back on the ice in training camp, and just start building towards that goal. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Brandon, how about you?
Yeah, it's along the same lines. I mean, coming back here, opening night, building will be rocking to put that jersey back on and hear the anthem. It's all pretty special, so it should be a fun year, and I can't wait to get it started.
Patrick, you would know this best. I think every year that Brent Seabrook has had a child, there's been a Stanley Cup victory. And I believe they're expecting, right?
Yeah, they just had one recently, so this year coming up, we should be in good shape.
In good shape, right? So way to go to the Seabrook family. Looks good for us. Any question that you have for Brandon? I've been throwing them at you left and right. Do you have a question for your teammate?
Is the playoff mullet coming back this year?
I don't know. I wasn't planning on it, but then it looks so good in that video that I might have to. No, we'll see. We'll see.
Just have it taken care of before the wedding day. On the lines of on that topic of the mullet, Kaner the last 2 years has not gone with the mullet or the steps. And I'm just saying, we know what happens, so maybe Patrick, you need to make sure that he goes to the 88 barber, the guy, I don't know, I follow this guy on Twitter or whatever, he's like his barber, now he's known for putting the steps in the side, so I'm just saying you might want to make sure he does that this year.
I'd like to see him with he plays his best when he's got that mullet. Sauter was pretty good in the playoffs that year too with the mullet, so maybe we should just do full team regular season mullets.
Could you imagine that picture? That would be...
If you get traded to the Hawks, to just shave your sides and grow the hair out the back, every single player.
Everybody gets a Q mustache. What else are you, any travel, or I mean, obviously you guys got to get settled here, you got to get ready for the season, but do you have anything summer related on the docket here before you get going in South Bend?
Not really. Sharp family sets up shop in Connecticut these days in the off season. That's where Abby's family is from and she grew up. So Abby's one of 10 in her family, and they're all grown with husbands and wives and kids. So there's all kinds of cousins for our 2 daughters to play with. So heading back to Connecticut for a few weeks, and then Madeline, our oldest, starts school, which I think is like end of August. So we'll be coming back to Chicago nice and early and get ready for the season.
Awesome. What about you, Brandon?
No, yeah, it's along the same lines, minus the kids, but no, I was just in Columbus a few weeks ago getting that situated and packing up some stuff and now looking at places here, so getting towards the end of summer, pretty much just training and hanging out, and I'm sure I'll be back here before we know it with training camp coming up and moving into my place and furniture, things like that. So just getting that taken care of, and that's about it.
Well, we want to thank you guys for coming out here tonight, or today. It is awesome to see both of you back in town. You guys did tremendous work in your previous run. We expect and are looking forward to even greater heights here in the second tour. And on behalf of all the Blackhawks fans in here, thanks again to Patrick Sharp and Brandon Saad.